All right.
We are live.
We're late, but, we're chit-chatting.
Yeah, we were BSing the whole time, which is terrible because
All right, here
I
we
got
go.
a lot to do tonight.
You don't, though.
I do.
All right, here we go.
It's time for the Fantasy Football Guys. Dropping loads of fantasy football knowledge all up in your eardrums.
Skeet, bitches.
Here they are.
You used to say ew
Lyle
when I said that.
Keel and Kevin Moore. The Fantasy Football Guys.
Yeah, that's right. We're the Fantasy Football Guys. Hi there, I'm Kevin.
I am
Lyle. That was perfect.
Jinx. You owe me a Coke.
So it is the Week 2 preview show.
I'm excited.
I'm excited, a little bit excited, too.
That was a good weekend of football.
Dude, it started with a really good Cowboys-Bucks game on Thursday.
Great game.
Ended with a great, who knew, Raiders-Ravens game on Monday night.
Fantastic. OT. Turns out John Gruden almost screwed himself, messed up, and it ended up helping him.
Yeah.
Because apparently he was going to kick the field goal.
He was.
Right. And messed that up. They ended up scoring the touchdown. So, fantastic there.
It was just good all the way around.
It was great.
Told me a couple things that Monday night game. Number one,
You said Monday.
Monday. It squeaks out every now and
It
again.
does. It
Can't help
leaches.
it.
Yeah.
So I found out something about the game
The
on
Monday.
Monday game. Number one, Bryan Edwards. The hype is real.
Yeah.
There's a reason for it.
For real,
He's
yeah.
good.
Yeah.
Zay Jones, okay. But I really kind of like the way the Raiders' offense works.
Me too.
Second thing is the Ravens' defense wasn't all that.
Yeah.
I was unimpressed.
Yeah. And again, credit to the Raiders, but maybe the Ravens' defense isn't all that, or maybe
Maybe the Raiders' offense is just that good.
Maybe they are good.
Yeah,
I have a hard time believing that, but
Well, just because they didn't do well previously doesn't mean they're not going to do well.
You never
going
know.
Forward. So, anyway, we are the Fantasy Football Guys. You want to check us online, you can go to our Reddit presence, which is basically our online presence these days. That's reddit.com/r/TFFG.
Correct.
On Twitter, we're at TFFG. You can check Robbie out at TFFG Robbie. His DFS show drops Thursday evening. I did say Thursday that time.
you did.
Our email address, fantasyfootballguys.com. I'm sorry, the fantasyfootballguys@gmail.com. Our phone number for Saturday's show, not for the Wednesday show, but for the Saturday show, write this down, 650-733-8334. That's 733-TFFG. You can check out our Discord server as well. We have all kinds of threads going on there, just like we used to with our forum. On the old Fantasy Football Guys site. We have beer threads, and we have food threads, and off-topic threads, and other sports threads. We also have on there Thursday questions for Thursday show only, actually Wednesday show only for Thursday games.
Right.
And then Saturday morning questions for the rest of the weekend. If you want to get in on the Discord server, it's free, it's fun, it's fabulous. You can go to the Reddit site. That's reddit.com/r/TFFG. First sticky post is join our Discord server. And you go there and there's a link that puts you into Discord. You put your info in. Boom, you're signed up. Bada boom, bada bingle. All right.
Bada boom, bada bing.
Here we go with the news. And
Let's do the news.
Most of this news is injuries and such. So we saw Josh Jacobs score 2 touchdowns the other night. And it doesn't look good for him now. He's actually he's got an issue. He's got a toe, he's got an ankle, and he was out of practice today. Plus, he still has that lingering illness thing that he was suffering on Monday. So keep an eye on him. Obviously, you're going to want to continue to play him. We'll get to his likability for this week later on. Xavier Rhodes, your cornerback for Indianapolis, has a calf injury, which could bode well for anybody who's going up against him this week. Say a Rams wide receiver.
Who?
Rams?
Obviously, I know who the Rams are. I was being
It's the
facetious.
Los Angeles football team.
Oh, yeah.
Saquon Barkley and his knee officially questionable for Thursday night football against the WF Tizzle.
Guess what? He's going to play. He's also going to be limited, and Eventually, he's going to break one.
Maybe less limited than before.
I would hope so.
Gabriel Davis did not participate in today's practice. Not like you're going to be scrambling to play that dude anyway. Jerry Jeudy out 4 to 6 with a high ankle sprain. That kind of sucks.
Yeah, it makes me super sad.
Let's see what the running back situation in San Francisco is always a little bit sus, as they say. People who drafted Raheem Mostert got exactly 2 carries and 20 yards out of the dude.
Dude, I traded a pick in our Dynasty League for him.
Oh.
And now he's on IR. Yeah, it was a first and a second rounder for him and Russell Wilson. I had a chance of winning last year.
He was an and also situation.
Kind of,
Yeah.
But still, it's devastating.
It is. I mean, because when he's healthy,
He's amazing.
He's a contributor.
Is he ever going to be healthy? No. I'm off the Mostert train.
At this point,
Now, listen.
I'd be shocked if he was a Niner again
Next year, if he does well, he'll win Comeback Player of the Year. That's the bar that we're setting.
Well, yeah, and no pressure on him for
Right.
that. But another San Francisco 49er running back, Jeff Wilson Jr., and his knee, looking to possibly return sometime in November. Okay, thanks for stopping by. I'm not sure why that's
That's
news
why
today.
Eli was the top waiver wire pick this week.
That's exactly right. And Trey Sermon is going to be a factor as well. Zach Ertz and his hammy, we're seeing basically managing the hamstring today and not really practicing. Kind of interesting to see how little he was used and how much Goddard was used this last Sunday. I think the torch may have been passed. Brandon Ayuk and his hamstring didn't really shine as much as we thought he was going to this last week. It was the Deebo Samuel show. But I guess as they're trying to bring him back from his hamstring issue, he's going to get more and more snaps. Anyway,
I think the term is Mo and Mo.
Momo snaps, something like that. Ty Williams, your Detroit Lions receiver, is in the concussion protocol. Sorry about that, bro. Antonio Gibson and his shoulder is not on the injury report, but those are the kind of things that with running backs tend to linger. So keep an eye on him. As the weekend progresses. ODB is out for this week already.
Yeah.
That's okay. The Cleveland Browns seem to do pretty good without him. Now, they didn't beat the Chiefs,
They did
but
well. Superman does good.
fair enough. I'm not going to lie to you. Evan Ingram ruled out for Washington, the football team's game, in the calf issue that he has. Will Fuller's back in practice for the Dolphins. That's exciting news.
It is. I drafted him thinking I knew he was officially suspended for one game, but I thought it was going to go longer.
Thought maybe he'd screw something else up.
I just didn't think it would come back that fast. I mean,
quickly, yeah.
And not just be suspended, but just not just come back and play a game.
Yeah.
But hey, maybe.
You want to hear some weird news?
Yeah.
Ronald Jones II named the Bucs starting running back
I don't think
entering
that's
week
weird.
2.
I don't think that's weird.
Yeah, I kind of do. I mean,
He's better than Fournette, clearly.
yeah, evidence to the contrary.
Dude, I don't know, but I like it because I have him on a team.
Well, we've kind of been here before. We see Rojo get the opportunity and maybe makes a good showing of it. Maybe he doesn't.
He's talented, and the thing is, he's a great person to have on your team because Fournette's clearly not going to play every game. He just doesn't. He just gets hurt.
He misses things, sure.
Yeah, for sure. So,
Yeah.
But who is better? Clearly, I mean, Fournette was fantastic.
He just ran them right to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
D. Wayne Eskridge from the Seahawks is in concussion protocol, and the Rashad Penny experiment continues to be questionable.
I may drop him.
Dude's expected to miss week 2. He's got that calf.
I may drop him.
Yeah, so anyway, that's your news. I'm sure there's going to be more
There's
as
a
we
lot
progress.
More. There's a lot more.
Yeah, we'll have more on Saturday.
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 Let's get to these games, bro. Washington is hosting the Gents. Washington, a little bit of disappointment there, but Heineken is at the helm now.
He is.
And you know what? I was impressed with him last year, and I got to be honest, I was kind of impressed on Sunday. He doesn't look terrible.
I was more impressed than I thought I was going to be.
There you go. That's a perfect yes.
Yes.
It's not like I'm like, oh, this is the next Tom Brady. But
Right.
yeah, I was expecting horrible, and he wasn't.
I was impressed by Justin Herbert. Heineke, I was okay about
Fair
it.
enough, dude. Herbert had a game, dude.
I'm talking about
him.
last year
I
when he
know.
came in.
Well,
so
I know.
something real quick about the Washington football team is like somebody put on Twitter like 10 minutes before the game started this last week that the stadium is only like a quarter full. And I read some articles about it and people commenting on it, and some of those people were Washington season ticket holders for years and years. And like there were different things. One guy said, I was a season ticket holder for 18 years, and then all of a sudden the team decided that the section I was sitting in was no longer quote unquote eligible for season tickets, so I lost my seat license. And you know how expensive those damn things are.
Super expensive. You can't. That shouldn't be a thing.
Right. So they offered him to move to another section that would cost him double what he was paying. So he's like, I just
Per
clapped out.
ticket or for the license?
It didn't get to that. Didn't get that deep. He just said they were going to charge me double. So anyway,
That's probably per ticket. My contract is super ironclad. It even guarantees me the opportunity to buy further SBLs in a different stadium.
Oh, so
at the same level or better.
Going to be hard to get better in your seats, Bo.
I would imagine that they'll just be like, you want front row? But the thing is, I would rather have the aisle.
Oh yeah.
Because like
Now, if the seats next to you come open,
yeah, for
maybe,
sure.
maybe you get those. So you have 4.
It may be, yeah. I don't know, but that's the deal, yeah.
So as this article continued, and some of the comments is that basically, the team has changed names, and that has really put a lot of people off.
It has.
Because people have been following this team since forever.
No, it's not the same team. They were following the Redskins.
Right. But sure.
Now this is the Washington football team, which is
Right.
the worst name ever. Right. And here's what bothers me about it. Like, put the politics aside and the political correctness aside. The writing was on the wall, so they should have been trademarking
everything,
names and logos and all for probably 5 years now, at least.
Sure.
They did none of that. So now they have nothing. They could have done a social media campaign. It would have been Washington, Washington face would have won, right?
Well, that's another thing that people were talking about is that, if you go on Twitter, the Red Wolves seems to be the thing that people want on Twitter.
Red Wolves.
Yeah.
That would be cool.
Okay, but the thing is that, older folks who aren't on Twitter, who are people who can afford season tickets, aren't on Twitter.
Yeah.
So, the team is basing a lot of their excitement off of what they're getting off of social media.
It's interesting.
Right. So, I mean, I'm not saying I agree with this. I'm just reading this article. But, a lot of it came from the name change.
But it's the same football team, so if you love them, you love them.
Well, and a lot of the unhappiness came from the fact that Snyder is an asshat and just makes
horrible moves. And also they've been terrible for 20 years.
Right. No, they won the division last year. So
okay,
there's a lot of reasons.
They won the worst division in football last year with a
losing record,
a 7-9 record. Yeah.
So there's a lot of reasons to be unhappy with that team.
Yeah.
A lot of it. The stadium is awful. They've done some upgrades, but just there's a lot of reasons for it. But this is a team that was impossible to get a ticket there. Now you can basically walk
and
in.
not only that, it was offensive if you sat down.
Yeah.
You stood the whole game.
And they show, back in the 60s, whenever they would show a crowd scene, they would show a scene from Washington.
Oh, yeah.
Because those people were dressed in ties and hats and that kind of thing. So they're like, they want to make your the NFL look like, well-to-do people are going there. They even if it was in San Francisco, they'd show crowd in Washington.
Right.
Nobody knew the difference.
Right.
But I thought that was interesting.
That is.
Anyway, so you can probably find that article or a similar one to it.
They have a football game.
Yeah. So anyway, the Giants will be traveling to somewhere in the suburbs of D.C. To play the football team.
Landover, Maryland, but
that's what it is.
Yeah.
So Daniel Jones is your quarterback. Got to tell you, this is a make or break year for Jones, and we all know this.
So far, it's break.
So far, it ain't great. So. It was a difficult loss. They lost 27-12, 27-13 against Denver.
You know what's funny though is the game wasn't that close.
It really
wasn't even that and that's a large margin. it wasn't that close.
Yeah, it was. They got doubled up. So I mean, Jones had 267 yards and a touchdown. Ran for 27 yards and a touchdown. So he didn't have a bad day. I mean, I'm not going to complain about him too much, but the thing about it is, this time of year, week 2, you did not draft a dude as your quarterback. I will say that if you had the Beard as your quarterback, you might be scrambling now, and Jones may be a guy you're going to be looking to pick up. I'm thinking you probably have better options, like the quarterback who beat them last week. Just saying.
Yeah.
Teddy Two Gloves.
Teddy Two Gloves.
Right.
I saw a lot of people pick him up this week.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. So, yeah, I can't really give a thumbs up to Danny Jones.
2 gloves.
Teddy throws it.
Does somebody wear one glove? Who wears one glove besides Michael Jackson?
A lot of quarterbacks wear a glove on their left
that's
hand
fair.
and no glove on their right.
All right, fair enough. Teddy Two Gloves.
I still love Teddy Roosevelt better. That's my favorite.
Of course.
Saquon Barkley basically did nothing. He was a non-factor in last week's game, as almost expected. I mean, you can't really sit the guy, though.
Had to start him.
You had to start him. You have to start him this week.
Got to start him this week.
Right. Washington is okay against the run. Only one game as a factor here, but they gave up over 15 points to running backs last week. So, So Barkley, yeah, you kind of have to. I don't think it's time to go looking at Devontae Booker yet. He didn't do anything last week. So, yeah, Barkley as a flex at least. Kenny Galladay, Sterling Shepard. I really kind of like what Sterling Shepard was able to do last week.
Me too. I like him all the time. He's just not.
Dude had a $113 and a touchdown.
Yeah.
So, yeah, absolutely. I'm going to play Sterling Shepard on Thursday night. I hate to play Thursday night players, but they're going to be trying to win, right? So I think Sterling Shepard is at least.
Well, I would hope that everybody tries to win.
Well, the point is that they're going to be making a go of it. They're going to be throwing the football around the yard.
Hard-hitting analysis, Kevin Moore.
Yeah, it's right here. 64 yards for Kenny Galladay. I don't know, dude. I'm not really loving anybody on this offense.
He still
to be
has a
honest
hammy.
with you.
Yeah, of course. Of course you don't.
So, Saquon, sure. Galladay, yeah. Sterling Shepard, absolutely. Kyle Rudolph didn't do much at the tight end spot. Evan Ingram is out with that calf still. So, yeah, there's better guys to play, and a lot of them are on the other side of the ball here. I'm not going to play Tyner Heineke. I want to see what he does probably for weeks.
I would take a flyer on him in a deep league or a dynasty league. It should be owned.
He's going to be terribly cheap in DFS.
Yeah, I mean, I would roll the dice there. And again, the things I've seen of him, I don't hate. But it's, Yeah.
You can look at it like that. The other way to look at it is he couldn't beat a 39-year-old man out for the gig. So, I mean, the beard is the beard. We know this. But we also know the beard can be, if it's tragic as well. And you don't think Ron Rivera knows that? Of course he does. So, if Heineke was ready to be a starter, he would have been the starter.
You're probably right.
So, I mean, we're sitting here agreeing we're both on the same side of the Taylor Heineke argument. So I think we can move on. Antonio Gibson has a shoulder, but is not on the injury report as mentioned earlier. Absolutely going to play that dude. If you're in a PPR going forward, you could probably consider J.D. McKissick. He didn't do much of anything really last week. But keep an eye on him going forward. He's at some point going to ramp up. He was the most targeted running back in the NFL last year.
But last year's last year.
Last year is last year.
This year's this year.
Terry McLaurin, you're absolutely going to play.
Dude, did you see the catch he made along the sideline?
I did not.
It might be the greatest. So it's not the flashiest catch.
Sure.
But it might be the best, physical catch that I've ever seen.
Yeah, D-Hop kind of makes those flashy
He was
catches.
running, and he turned to adjust. So he's running with his side with his body to the left of the sideline, and he turned to adjust. And as he's trying to catch it over his shoulder, he realizes it's really over his shoulder. So he leaned way back.
Oh yeah, I did see that.
And actually caught it.
Yeah.
With a defender right on him. Dude,
crazy.
That's the kind of stuff that makes me go. I just slow clap.
Yeah, it's like
you're just what do you do? You just tip the cap.
A member of my species is able to do things like that.
I mean,
I can barely get out of a chair.
I think it's that's true. It's already in the conversation, I think, for catch of the year. That's all I'm saying. Anyway,
Now-
you're clearly going to play Scary Terry.
Well, he had that catch and 3 others for 62 yards. So, it wasn't a stellar performance, and you have to downgrade him a little bit because of the
Heineken.
quarterback situation. But, yeah, you can't sit the dude. Same thing for Logan Thomas. You can't sit that dude either in your tight end spot.
Are you done?
Finally.
Okay, we're going to talk about Houston and the Cleveland Browns here.
Whoa, you got the Pats and the Jets game next.
Negative. You had Giants, Washington, and I have Houston Browns. You have
We're
Broncos.
going right down the NFL schedule.
No,
NFL.com
I
schedule.
sent you the schedule.
I saw nothing.
You did because you gave it a thumbs up.
What are you talking about?
I'm talking, dude.
What, like a text?
Yeah, I sent it to you. For tomorrow, we can use this schedule right here and just open the player team pages, and you said a thumbs up for it.
Boo.
I'm sorry. This is what I prepared for. So look, you're watching the sausage being made here. Go ahead, look at it.
Oh, I'm seeing
Just-
it, but
we'll
I
just
didn't.
pause.
I didn't account for this. I did what we did last week.
I'm sorry. Do you want me to adjust to a different game?
If you could, that would be great.
If you can take a game from me, I can adjust.
Uh,
So
if
you can take,
if you could do Pats and Jets, and then I'll take Broncos Jags. next.
well, you're going to need to take a game now because I have to prepare for this game. So
All right. How about if I take Broncos Jags now?
how about if you take Texans Browns?
Well, let's see if I've actually, because I actually did show prep, dude. I mean,
So did I. But I can adjust.
okay, I'll take Texans Browns now.
Cool. I'm going to take Broncos Jaguars. Is that
Well,
good?
I did prep for Broncos Jaguars.
Fuck's sake. All right. So
Take Pats Jets.
Pats Jets. Okay. You're going to tell me every time what my next game is.
Okay.
Pats Jets. I got it.
Well, if you want to, just I can share this with you, and then you can.
I don't need it.
Yeah, I'm going to share.
I don't
with
need
you.
it.
I got to share it with you.
That's a negative.
You're not gonna-
Hard pass.
You're not going to take it, even though.
Hard pass.
All right, that's fine. All right, so look at the Texans and the Browns. See, if we had a producer.
It's so bad. It's so bad.
Anyway, so so the Texans Browns. Tyrod Taylor, dude. I mean, a lot of people are like, "Oh, you can't play any Texans. You can't do." Tyrod is a professional quarterback. Dude only had 291 yards. Wink.
Who won that game?
That would have been the Texans over the Jaguars. So
I know.
I mean, it's only so excited you can get.
Yeah, but guess what? Texans 1-0.
Sure. So Tyrod had 291 and 2 touchdowns, dude. No picks. Had 40 yards on the ground.
He
And no sexual assault charges.
We're gonna get an email about that.
Well, it's true. As far as I know, the dude is clean there.
Yeah, but how thick are his lungs?
That's
This
true.
year, they're inflating well.
Well, his lung is the same as it ever was. It's that rib plate cartilage.
That's so bad.
Yeah.
I shouldn't say that.
And I referenced what I did because I saw a meme that he had this, and 0 sexual assault charges.
Really?
Yeah, I saw a meme, so I stole it. All right, so
good.
I'm not saying you're going to play Tyrod this week. The Browns, pretty hefty against the Chiefs defensively. They only gave up 24 points or something. I don't know. Anyway,
Yeah, only.
so excuse me, a little phlegm. Looking at the running backs here, it's hard to say going into last. It was hard to say going into last week which of these running backs was going to be the quote unquote lead back, and that may change from week to week. It was Mark Ingram last week,
Which I loved what he did.
yeah, I mean, I was kind of expecting it to be Phillip Lindsay, but no, it wasn't. Ingram had 85 yards on 26 carries. That's like feature back type numbers,
Yeah.
right?
No, he's fantastic.
Yeah, he had a touchdown, right? He didn't catch any. He was targeted once and didn't catch anything. But, dude, 26 carries and 85 yards. It's only 3.3 average, but I'll allow it. Did have a touchdown, as I mentioned. I was expecting Phillip Lindsay to do something, but really, by comparison, he did nothing. Dude only had 8 carries, made the most of it, 26 yards and a touchdown. So it wasn't like he did nothing, but if the Mark Ingram situation continues, With 20 plus carries a game.
Here's the thing. He's a veteran. He's been at the top of the league before in terms of a running back, or
Yeah.
at least an RB2.
Sure.
Right? And former Heisman Trophy winner.
All that.
The guy's, he's not going to be a Hall of Famer, but he's going to be in the Hall of really, really, really good.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
And even Johnson caught a touchdown pass. He had 28 total yards, something. So team is making the most of these RBs, right?
God just makes me sad.
What's that?
He just makes me sad.
Yeah, he could have been a
He
whole
was.
lot.
He was.
Yeah. Then he hurt his wrist.
don't know.
And a wrist injury kept
I
him out for
drafted
the
him
year.
that year. I don't know.
You still salty?
Nope. Yeah.
It's funny. The draft is still fresh in my mind. And seeing Brandon Cooks just hanging there.
I wanted him too.
And nobody wanted him.
I wanted him too.
Until it was like the 5th round, 6th round. I'm like, I think it's time to get Brandon Cooks. And he got sniped by somebody right before I wanted to take him.
I wanted him too. In almost every league, I had targeted him because somebody's going to catch passes there.
Yeah, absolutely. And
he's really good at that.
consistent as all hell. So 5 catches on 7 targets, $132. Didn't get into the end zone. But in a PPR, that's 18.2 points.
I would expect him to do that a lot.
Yeah, for the most part. Now,
The team has no weapons.
he's the only really veteran receiver they have. They have Nico Collins and Chris Conley. And, they have Jordan Akins and Farrell Brown at their tight end spot. So nobody's really, rising to the top as the cream tends to. So this looks like a running team with Brandon Cooks. And that may be enough to finish last in the division. But we don't care how they finish. We care how they score. And we had some Texans scoring pretty well. It's going to be Ingram probably and Brandon Cooks on this team for you fantasy-wise. Lindsey, maybe. Because, again, we don't know. Maybe this is Lindsey's week to get 26 carries.
Right.
Doubtful, but it could happen. Brown's not a great matchup for them. From the Browns side, Baker Mayfield, he went undrafted in some of my drafts, and that's amazing to me. I mean, the guy had 321 yards, didn't have a touchdown, did throw a pick, but
That's why, though.
yeah, no touchdowns, but that's an anomaly. He's not going to be touchdown free.
Sure, but he might throw 1 or 2. He's not going to throw 5.
Right. Well, the thing is, this is a
14
run-first
attempts,
team because
like
you have
James.
Nick Chubb and you have Kareem Hunt, and both of those guys are playable every week.
For sure, yeah.
If you have both of them, we've talked about this. If you have both of those guys, play both of them. Jarvis Landry is a guy I'd really, really like to play. He didn't really do all that well this week. Only 13 yards, got into the end zone, and he actually ran twice for 13 yards and had a rushing touchdown. Had 71 yards on 5 catches. So Landry is, and that's going against the Chiefs. So against the Texans, I'm thinking he'd probably do a little bit better. So yes, I like Jarvis Landry. ODB is out, as mentioned. David Njoku, who you absolutely, as I recall, you like this dude, right?
I do like him. I mean, physically, he's a specimen.
So, unless you have one of the big tight ends, and I know a lot of teams, and I do this in a few leagues, stream tight ends. Mm-hmm. 3 catches, 76 yards last week. Yeah, I'll take David Njoku.
76. That's 7 points minimum.
Yeah, and if
10
it's
in the PPR.
10 in the PPR.
I'll allow it.
Yeah, if you're streaming tight ends, that's
you
kind
get
of what
10
you're
points
looking
out
for.
of your tight end. You need to, that's a good day.
You need to be happy.
You done?
I am.
All right. Pats, Jets. Essentially, we're going to play most of the Patriots and sit most of the Jets, but let's talk about it a little bit. Mac Jones and his debut.
He
had a 102.6 rating, 74.4% accuracy, 281.
Like player of the week or something.
281, a touchdown. He did get sacked once. He had a fumble. He recovered it. Not horrible out of a rookie debut.
That's a ringing endorsement.
No, well, I mean, fantasy-wise, he had 15 points.
Yeah, but nobody started him.
No, but I got to be honest, your first start, I'll allow it.
Yeah.
He did make a bunch of mistakes and stuff. What I was really impressed with was Damian Harris. Yes, he had 100 yards. Yes, he also caught a couple passes on 3 targets. He did fumble and lose one, and that was terrible. But the thing that I like about it is he had 23 carries. That is not something we see out of the Patriots a lot.
we don't necessarily see 23 total carries out of their running back.
Right. So I was a big fan of seeing that. Conversely, James White had 4 carries. He did have 6 receptions, which is what he does. And I think he's a fine start as a flex in a PPR. But Damian Harris, I think, might creep into the RB2 category. If you're getting 20 carries a game.
The hell you say.
I know. And you're getting 2 or 3 targets as well. I'll freaking allow it, man.
So, by the way, Lyle's back on the beer train.
I am.
And he popped in. He had what was that, a Scattered Sun?
Scattered Sun.
I brought these back from my southern trip.
Good. I'm about to run into the Son of a Peach.
Son of a Peach. And who's the brewery?
R.J. Rockers Brewing Company.
Yeah.
Established 1997.
That's damn tasty.
Is it?
By the way.
I can't. I'll go in after this game.
All right.
Jacoby Myers, Jacoby Myers, 6 catches on 9 targets, only 44 yards. Again, I'll wait and see. This is a flex or a injury fill.
Dude got a lot of hype in the preseason. Like, he's going to be one of the best receivers in the game.
Here's the thing. Nelly kind of was. 7 targets, 5 catches, 72, a touchdown. Nelson Aguilar, I don't know. Not a huge fan of his, but
yeah,
again,
we're still salty by
see.
the dropped passes and in the end zone.
If you need a tight end, Jonah is a tight end. He did have a carry too.
Yeah, he actually did pretty. He had a couple of decent plays there. I don't know.
5 for 5 on his catches and targets. Yeah. So he did what he had to do. From the Jet side, little bit of a different story.
Slightly.
You have Zach Wilson in his rookie debut. Was 82.9, 20 completions on 37, 54%. Not quite Mac Jones territory. But he did have 2 touchdowns.
Yeah.
Right? No picks, or no, 1 pick. But he got sacked 6 times. And this is the problem.
Not his fault necessarily. Not
He's
all
got to
of
get
them
rid
were.
of the ball. Like all the time, because
Sure.
that's going to happen to him a lot.
Yeah, because that offensive line.
So,
shaky.
if he gets sacked 6 times a game, he's going to break the NFL record.
And if he got sacked 6 times, he got hit a lot more than that.
Yeah, you're talking probably 20.
Yeah.
Tevin Coleman is a running back in the NFL that you're not going to play. He had 9 carries for 24 yards.
We kind of saw that coming, though, didn't
Ty
we?
Johnson, people were excited about. He had 4 carries for 15 yards and a catch. Michael Carter.
People were touting him.
4 attempts. He had 6 yards. Corey Davis had 97 yards and a couple touchdowns. I liked what I saw out of him.
Sure.
Can you trust it going forward? Probably not, but he deserves to be on a roster and keep your eye on him.
You look at that, and if it happens again this week against the Patriots, then it starts to look like a trend.
Elijah Moore, that everybody was like, hey, this is going to be the guy who steps up. 1 catch, 4 yards. And, by the way, 1 catch, 4 targets, -3 yards.
Oof.
Yeah, people were on him.
That'll
So
leave a mark.
we're not going to play any of the Jets.
No.
So,
Bills Dolphins is your next one.
all right, thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you, Lyle. We talked about Teddy Two Gloves
No,
before.
thank you, Kevin.
I insist, Lyle. Thank you.
No, thank you.
Broncos will be at the Jags. Teddy Bridgewater. The thing
What
about
do you
it,
think about the Urban Meyer stuff, dude? Is that real?
no. I
don't
mean,
know, man.
we did see some college coaches.
Lombardi said it. Like Michael Lombardi was the one that tweeted that.
Well, he tweeted because he got information from somebody quote unquote in the know. So I saw Lombardi on Pat McAfee yesterday talking about it. Do you like that show? Do you watch Pat?
Yeah, I watch it sometimes.
It's pretty good.
It weirds me out when he stands up.
Yeah, and he's constantly wearing a black like tank shirt or something. It's like, what are you doing, dude? Put on a shirt.
It's disconcerting.
Right, because he's far away from the mic. Like, he's got the same microphones we have.
I know
right?
he does, yeah.
Right, so he's up here with it, but
Yeah.
you can tell that I sound different, but he still sounds like he's up here.
They must just yak it up.
Maybe he just has a boom mic over his head.
Might
or something.
have, yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, I don't see Urban Meyer. I don't know that he stays past this season, but I don't think he does a Petrino.
Oh yeah.
You remember when that dude clapped down on the Falcons, and that night was doing pig suey or something in Arkansas.
Big suey.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Anyway, so you got Teddy Two Gloves, and while I liked his performance, what he did last week, but it's still too early for me to step out on a second tier quarterback like Teddy, right? Guy had 264 yards, 2 touchdowns, ran for 19, so he had a good solid day. He's got some weapons around him. If he continues this kind of thing, he'll become a solid bye week starter. But I think this is what we're going to see out of him. He's not going to have a 400-yard touchdown or 400-yard 3 or 4 touchdown game. If he does, it's going to be the anomaly. It's not going to be the norm. So even against the Jags, I'm going to sit on Teddy Bridgewater at this point.
I concur.
Melvin Gordon, dude, I thought, it's going to be, the Javonte Williams show. Everybody's saying Melly Gordon's washed up.
Well,
blah, blah, blah. No,
other than a giant run, he kind of did have a bad day.
Well, those giant runs count.
They do.
Right. And Williams actually had more carries than Gordon did.
Yeah.
But Gordon had 111 yards and a touchdown, caught 3 for 17. So he had the superior day, and I think that's going to continue for a while. At some point, Javonte Williams is going to break out of that and may become, the top dog there. But he had 14 carries, 3 more than Gordon, 45 yards, did not get into the end zone, only had 1 reception for -4 yards. So in this situation, I'm not going to start Javonte Williams yet. I want to see the big game.
Same.
I will start Melly Gordon, though, against these Jags. Yes to Cortland Sutton pretty much every week, but I'm still going to say it every week. I would start Judy, but he's out for a month and a half. Noah Fant, yes, he's a tight end that you can semi-count on. Not really all that high on the dude. He had 62 yards on 6 catches this last week. That doesn't suck. I don't know this is going to be a weekly thing, but for this week, yeah, thumbs up for Noah.
I'll allow it. Are you done?
No, I got the Jags to go.
You should hurry up.
I'm doing my
Oh,
best.
you could just pass. James Robinson, pass.
Well, let's see. Marvin Jones.
Yeah, he was okay. I'm just playing with
Yeah, I know you're. Marvin Jones, dude had a touchdown and 77 yards, and we kind of thought he might be that guy that's targeted out of this receiver crew. Are you going to be able to trust him going forward? Probably not. He's got a rookie quarterback. So at some point, yes, he's going to be flex-worthy just because he's a top receiver on a football team. But, yeah, this week I think you probably have better options given the situation. Chris Manhertz, tight end in the NFL, dude, had a touchdown, 22 yards. Woo! I think you probably have better options than Jags tight ends.
I would hope so. Are we done?
Yes, sir.
All right. We're going to talk about the Buffalo Bills going against the Miami Dolphins.
I like the looks of this game.
I do, too. I think it'll be a lot of fun. I think the Bills will win it. They had a tough go there in Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh turns out, they're not done yet.
Yeah.
At least not first game of the season.
News of their demise was a little premature.
Josh Allen, we're going to play. He didn't have the best game, but he still had 270 and a touchdown. He still ran for 44 yards. He did lose a fumble, no picks.
I think it's funny that he basically had the same day Teddy Bridgewater had, and we're like, no to Teddy, but yes to Josh.
I know, and the fumble, he just got murked by
yeah.
J.J. Watt.
Sure.
What are you going to do?
Everybody would drop the ball.
Well, dude, if that guy hits you from behind, you don't know he's there. Yeah, you're going to drop the football. But he had a pretty good game, and it was a close game, and what are you going to do? Devin Singletary was 11 for 72 on the ground. That's pretty good. 3 catches too. Only had a few yards there, no touchdowns, but it wasn't bad. And what was interesting is Zach Moss was a healthy scratch.
Yeah, that was a little surprising.
Yeah, I don't know what to make of that, but
How do you like the peach?
Very good. It's interesting.
It is. Peach is not a flavor that you really would associate with a beer.
Yeah, lemon and orange, but not necessarily
peach.
a peach. But yeah, it's good.
A little tangy.
It's very good.
Yeah.
Diggs, obviously, we're going to play 14 targets in the game. He had 69 yards. Nice. On 9 catches. So we're obviously going to play him. Cole Beasley dropped a few passes that I wasn't super happy about.
Insert COVID joke
But
here.
again, 13 targets, 8 catches. In PPR, you're definitely playing him. Dawson Knox didn't have a huge game. Obviously, you wouldn't expect that. On a PPR, he had 7 points. Probably fine. From the Miami side, Tua, not spectacular. Like, how long did they hang on to this guy, man? I mean, he ran
Well,
4 times.
from what I understand,
for
they're
a
trying
yard.
to get somebody out of Houston.
Yeah, which is one of the reasons I targeted Fuller,
Yeah.
right? Because he's in Miami, and if that person came over, then they have a little
No,
bit
you got a chance to do a little something, something.
Tua was 16 for of 27 for 200 yards, 202. Had a snee, and he did run for a 1-yard touchdown, and he also had a pick. I don't know.
They get the dub.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about
from a fantasy perspective.
Fantasy-wise, it's a hard pass. Myles Gaskin, not great.
Well, you ask how long they're going to hang on to him. They don't care about us.
They don't.
Right. So
But
he got the win.
I would expect more out of my franchise quarterback.
I would hope so.
I mean, Jalen Hurts, who he replaced there at Alabama, had slightly a better game
A little bit.
in his 5th start versus Tua. So, just saying.
And Jalen Hurts was the 2nd-round pick, whereas Tua,
Yeah, that's going to be a number 1. I thought you were going to give me the finger there real quick.
well, I kind of did. It was just not the finger you were expecting.
That's not the finger. That's a finger.
Right.
Gaskin had 49 yards on 9 attempts. He also caught 5 passes for 27 yards. Not spectacular. Malcolm Brown had 5 attempts. Ahmed had 4 yards. I don't know what's going on with this backfield, but I'm not liking it.
Not really impressed. I mean, the offense does not look like they have found their groove, their voice, if you will.
Right. I was happy that Jalen Waddle caught a touchdown pass, 61 yards and a touchdown. That was cool. Keep him in mind for a flex if you lost like Mostert and you had a bunch of Raven running backs. He might be a flex for you. Devontae Parker actually had 81 yards on 7 targets, caught 4 of them. Again, not horrible for a flex, but Fuller's back this week, so we got to see what.
Well, he's back in practice. I don't know if he'll be.
Who knows if he plays,
Yeah.
but he is back. So we'll see how that develops. And Gesicki, 2 targets, no catches. I don't know what to do with this guy, and I'm out.
Maybe play him, maybe not. I don't know. Coming up next, Lyle will critique the Rams and the Colts.
Oh, am I doing those now?
Rams and Colts.
That's me right now.
No. I said coming up next. Right now, it's the 49ers at the Eagles.
I thought you were going to hit me with a double.
You're going to
whammy.
go to this game?
No, I sold the ticket. I have to go to South Carolina, man.
Ah,
Yeah,
closing up the Grand Peeps house.
got to get all the stuff, and then drive cars back, and it's awful.
I understand. Jimmy Garoppolo. You know what? They brought in Trey a couple times and he got a touchdown out of the deal. But Garoppolo's like, not so fast, people. 314 yards and a touchdown out of Jimmy.
Yeah.
Dude ran for a couple of yards. I think this is going to be quarterback by committee. And I think the committee.
Well, they did that this week.
Yeah, I mean, Trey came in for a pass.
And how'd that go?
Yeah, touchdown. Yeah. Well, it's not bad. Well, he was on the 5. I mean,
I know, but he still threw a TD.
Yeah, so did Jimmy.
kinda
And the dude ran 3 times for a couple yards as well. So he gets in for 4 snaps. I have to imagine that if he comes in again this week and his play results in a touchdown, then maybe that share is going to start increasing a little by little.
Maybe.
With that in mind, I mean, Garoppolo is not unlike at this point in his career Matt Ryan, and Matt Ryan had a hell of a time against the Eagles once they made their adjustments. A lot of people were saying, "Oh, we're going to start Matt Ryan because the Eagles' defense, blah blah blah." We were talking a little bit about before we hit record here is that the Eagles' defensive coordinator is allegedly some sort of genius. So, don't know. I'm not going to start Garoppolo or Trey Lance. But if Jimmy throws up another 300-yard game, we're going to have to take a look at that a little more closely.
For sure.
All right. So we know that Mostert blew out a knee, whatever. It's not an ACL or whatever, but he needs surgery, right? So apparently Trey Sermon was a healthy scratch last week because they were going to start Mostert, right? And Trey Sermon doesn't really do anything on special teams, right? So the reason he was scratched was because Elijah Mitchell actually contributes in special teams.
Right.
So they were good to go. They said, this kid can get a few carries. We'll rely on Mostert, blah, blah, blah. We'll see. Now Mostert's out. So, a lot of people are like, we got to pick up Elijah Mitchell. I think that's going to be a mistake. I think you may have blown your fab. Now, yeah, the dude clocked a $104 and had a touchdown. Those numbers, I think, this week are going to apply to Trey Sermon. I would be a little careful about that. Honestly,
I hope you're right, but proof's in the pudding, man. One guy was not playing, the other guy had 100 yards.
All I'm saying is I wouldn't trust either of them this week.
Yeah. They signed Kerryon Johnson
to the practice squad, but we know what that means, right?
Well,
Plus, they have JaMychal Hasty.
They do.
They have Jeff Wilson coming back.
Yeah.
So how many running backs does a team need?
Apparently
at least
more. That many.
Yeah. So while I think Trey Sermon is going to be good, and I think Elijah Mitchell obviously is good enough to play, can't really tell who's going to do what this weekend. On the road, all the way on the other coast. Deebo Samuel, everybody thought it was going to be the other dude. Yeah. It was Deebo. Dude had a $189, had a touchdown, 9 catches. That's a lot of points. Mm-hmm. A lot of my leagues, when I looked at him on my bench with that 38, 39 points, I was a little distraught that I did not put the dude in.
Yeah.
So I'm going to play that guy going forward. Obviously, he's targeted well. So even if Ayuk starts to increase his role, Deebo's still
apparently,
in there.
The head coach said if Ayuk wants to play more snaps, he's got to be considerably better than the guy behind him, and he's not yet.
Just like that,
dude. When your coach says that publicly, yikes!
Oh, what's he saying to you? Behind closed
Privately,
doors.
he's like, "You suck."
Something. So Kittle was Kittle. He had 78 yards on 4 catches, no touchdown though. But of course, you're going to play that freaking
my shocked
gay.
face.
What's that?
I said, "This is my shocked face."
Let's see it.
Yeah.
Jalen Hurts. We talked about him. We tend to want to dive a little deep on the Eagles now.
I might have missed this preseason, man. I did not expect him to play that well in the first game. It's one game. It's not, but he was really impressive. On the touchdown pass to Goddard, he dropped back. He stepped up in the pocket, which is totally normal.
Sure.
But then he didn't run. He moved horizontal.
Yes.
Down the line of scrimmage.
Yes.
To find that pass. And if you watch, Goddard was actually leaning to his right, which would have been Jalen Hurts' left.
Right.
And the DB that was covering him, or the linebacker, shifted their hips that way, and Jalen Hurts threw it to the opposite side.
Threw him open.
Brilliant throw. I mean, that's a veteran throw.
Right. It's either going to be caught by Goddard or
incomplete
or hit the turf.
Correct.
Yeah.
Beautiful
and the window wasn't great.
It wasn't.
So
yeah, I was really impressed with how well he played.
As was I. And that, bodes well for the future. Now, the next several weeks will tell the tale. Frisco, Dallas, KC, Carolina. Tampa, right? Those are the next 5 weeks.
If they can win, if they lose 2 of those games, they're a contender.
I think they can beat Frisco. Dallas will be tough in Dallas. KC, forget about it. I think they can beat Carolina. So we'll see.
They'll lose to Tampa.
Well, yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. They'll lose 2 of those games. They're a contender.
So 261 and 3 touchdowns out of him. Ran the ball 7 times for 62 yards. And I think that's only going to increase. They actually had some really well-designed plays that were designed runs for him.
Apparently, almost the entire offense is an RPO.
Sure.
Or a PRO.
Pass run option.
Right.
Yeah. It took me a minute. I'm like, well, if RPO is
it's a PORNO.
Yeah. Anyway, so on a lot of people's lists, he was hot. He was a starting quarterback on a lot of people's lists. Robbie's list, he was like the 6th quarterback, whatever, just based on the small sample size from last year.
Right.
So if you drafted him to be your starter, well, then by all means press on.
You did.
I don't know that you're going to sit Brady for him. You're not going to sit. The same thing. We're going to talk about Jameis Winston later. Yeah. You're not going to play Jameis this week because chances are
14 completions.
You got him as your second quarterback.
Yeah.
Chances are he's not going to step in front of your starting quarterback now.
If he throws 5 touchdowns again this week,
conversation is going to be a little different.
Yeah, week 3, Talk about it.
Yeah, absolutely. Miles Sanders had a decent day. Dude had 15 carries, which is a little more than I thought he would. Caught 4. He was 74 yards on the ground, 39 through the air.
How about Kenny?
Did not get into the end zone.
Kenny did.
The thing about it is, dude, is I was expecting Kenny Gainwell to do a little of this and a little of that, and Boston Scott to be the guy who comes in as the second guy. It was not Boston Scott. In fact, that dude had no snaps.
Yeah, Gainwell looked really good.
Gainwell looked like a guy that is going to be flex worthy at some point. Dude got into the end zone on a running play. That was the thing that kills you as a fantasy player. You got the starting quarterback who runs down to the end into the goal line, goes out for a breather.
Starting running back, you mean?
What did I say?
You said quarterback.
But starting running back runs it all the way down the field, goes out for a breather. His backup trots in for the score.
It's not like he did anything amazing either. I mean, they were basically Moses, and the offensive line just parted.
Yeah,
the Red Sea. I mean, he was untouched. He
could have put my car through that hole.
Well, wow, that's aggressive. But yes.
All right, your car is a little thinner than mine. Anyway, dude had 37 yards and a touchdown.
Is that a euphemism? I don't know how to react to that.
Take it as you will, my friend.
Your car.
Yes, my vehicle. Anyway, Devontae Smith impressed as everybody thought he would.
Another beautiful throw from
Heisman Trophy winner
from Jalen Hurts.
6 catches, 71 touchdown. And you know what? I think he's going to. That's what we're going to look at every week. 8 to 10 targets.
Not only that, when he was open all the time, he just had a fantastic game.
Dude runs good routes.
Again, the Atlanta defense is not great, but they do have a complex scheme.
Sure.
But the personnel is not fantastic. So,
So thumbs up to Devontae Smith.
For sure. And a flex, I'd play him in a heartbeat.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Rager scored a touchdown at 49. Good to see him. Caught all of his targets. Good for him.
Another great play. Jordan Mailata murdered somebody on that play.
Oh, dude. That guy's soul just left his body.
Jesus.
Can't really start Rager yet. I'm not to that point. Quez Watkins had a couple catches. He was, hyped in the preseason, but I'm not going to do that. No to Zach Ertz. He's got an ankle. And he's clearly the second tight end in Philly. Dallas Goedert, of course, a 3 enthusiastic, throbbing thumbs up for Dallas Goedert.
The third one is his third leg. Yeah. Rams Colts. Let's talk about Matty Stafford and his debut.
He looked pretty good.
Oh, let's see. He had a 156 rating.
Yeah.
20 of 26, 76.9%.
Nearly perfect.
321, 3 touchdowns. Got sacked once. Dude, I mean, I don't want to say like the guy's going to be the NFL MVP or something, but he might be a top 5 quarterback this season.
He might be.
Dude, he looked great. He looked fantastic. And we know he's got the arm and he's got the skills. I don't know. I was really, really, really impressed. Darrell Henderson.
That's 3 reallys.
That's 3. You know what? I'll go with another really. I'll add another one on.
Let's see it.
That's 4. Really, 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 really impressed. Darrell Henderson did kind of what he did last year in lieu of Cam Akers. He had 16 carries, 70 yards, averaged over 4, had a touchdown, also caught a pass for 17 yards. Not horrible. He's RB2.
Solid RB2.
Love it. I would start him again in a heartbeat. Mm-hmm. Sony Michel was super disappointing.
Well,
so anybody who was like, oh, yeah, he had 1 carry.
Yeah, the reports that he was going to be the feature back.
1 carry.
One touch?
Cooper Kupp, 10 targets, bro.
That's
10
nice.
targets, 7 catches, 108, and a snee.
That's
had a 56-yarder. Robert Woods also had a touchdown, only 3 catches on 4 targets, 27 yards. But again, wide receiver 2, I'd play him. Van Jefferson got involved. Again, it was pretty much just 1 pass. But, 80 yards.
Yeah, it's weird now because the way numbering is, you don't know who's who now that anybody can be anything. Yep. So it's like, wait a minute, who's that guy? Was that Bobby Trees?
No,
it was not.
It was not. Higbee had 5 catches on 6 targets at 68 yards. That's totally 12, 11 points in a PPR. I'll allow it.
Yeah, that's the tight
From the
end
Colts side, Carson Wentz back in action, man.
He looked all right.
He did. He had a couple touchdowns, 251. Lost a fumble. Carson Wentz.
That's what he does.
Yep. He had 23 yards rushing.
Got to tell you, Hurts was tackled the other day. He was kind of running with the ball and got tackled from behind and brought the ball in, landed
on it.
It was still the Eagles' ball. It was like Carson Wentz would have fumbled that. It's true. He'd have gacked it up.
Jonathan Taylor, he did not run the ball that effectively. 3.3 yards per carry. He only had 56 yards on 17 attempts, but he caught 6 passes for another 60 yards.
Mm-hmm.
Those are great numbers. It's great RB2 numbers in a PPR. He's solid. You're definitely going to play
With
him.
upside, kids.
For sure. Naheem Hines. Actually, I mean, we've talked about he had 9 carries for 34, right? Not that big of a
Dude
deal.
just got paid, though, so.
He did. 8 targets. 8. 6 catches, 48 yards. Again, in a PPR, in a flex, I'm kind of all over this guy, man.
How can you not be?
He has done this continually. Everybody was hyping Pittman. He only had 3 catches. That's kind of disappointing. Zach Pascal comes in, catches 4. 2 of them are sneeze.
Touchdowns.
Caught 2 touchdowns. 2 tutters.
Tutties.
No, you said you were going to change it to tutter.
Yeah, no.
It's a tater. He had 2 taters. Mo Ali Cox had 0 catches on 2 targets. We're not going to play them tight ends.
No, you're not.
But I would play pretty much all the people in this game in a flex.
That sounds
That's
weird, but
the endorsement.
it's not untrue.
Who am I taking next, Kevin?
You're going to next have the Bengals at Bears.
Okay, so I'm done with that game.
Man. Steelers hosting the Raiders. Going to be a short week for those Raiders. Actually, not. It's not going to be so bad. Well, a little bit because they played Monday. Derek Carr actually looked like the guy everybody was hoping that he would be.
He was really good, man.
He rolled out as he had to. Dude had 435 yards.
He was really good.
And he had 2 touchdowns. Had a pick. That's fine. Ran a couple times. No big deal.
Happens.
But, yeah, 435 yards on that stage. Sorry.
Oh, dude, you got to finish your drink.
You got to. Yeah, I rarely hit the mic. But, dude, I mean, opening up that stadium there for the first time with live, like a live crowd, right? I'm not going to say start him every week or anything, but, he's certainly got my attention. That's for damn sure. Going to be a tough go at the Steelers. A little bit different than, shouldn't be different than playing the Ravens. But at home, the Steelers tend to be a little more robust, stout, shall we say. We talked about Josh Jacobs' toe and his ankle, which may keep him out this week. They're keeping an eye on that. He did well for a lot of fantasy folks, including me. Actually won me a couple of games. Did not do enough to keep SARS Monster into the guillotine league.
That's rough.
Sorry
man.
about that, John.
Yeah, sorry, John. But had to be somebody.
That's the way that axe swings.
You know what? There can be only one. They shouldn't call it the guillotine. They should call it the Highlander League.
I can make that happen right now.
There could be only one.
There could be only one.
I won every game except one in my free league where I played the top scorer, and I lost by 2 points as the second highest scorer.
Oh, I hate that.
It's
In our main money league, dude, I played against the highest scorer. I was 4th in scoring, but yeah, played against the top dog, Jack.
But hey, you can't complain if you win most of your games.
Yeah, I did all right.
But the thing is, if you lose that game as the second highest scorer against the highest scorer, you still have a really terrible waiver wire selection.
You do.
And you're 0-1.
And you're 0-1. That's right. That does kind of suck.
Awful, dude. Anyway, sorry.
So Josh Jacobs did okay point-wise, but the problem is dude had 10 carries for 34 yards otherwise. Did have a 6-yard reception. So the last thing I want is a touchdown-reliant running back.
So I hear you, but
I'm not saying Josh Jacobs is that.
I was up 20 in our TFFG money league, and they had Lamar Jackson and Hollywood, and I had Jacobs.
He did enough.
He did enough. He held him off.
Mm-hmm.
But, man, in the first quarter, when Lamar threw the touchdown to Hollywood,
you were like,
I was up by like 10.
Yeah.
And I was like,
the stack will kill you.
I was like, bro, this is going to be trouble.
Yeah, so I'm not going to say sit Josh Jacobs against the Steelers, although his toe and his ankle may keep him out. And plus, like I said, he's still sick from something else. If he's out, I don't mind Kenyon Drake. Dude only had 11 yards on the ground, but he did have 59 through the air on 5 catches. So that's how they're using him. When Josh is healthy, fine. If Josh is out, then Drake's value skyrockets. Of course, not a great matchup, of course, against the Steelers. But starting running back in the NFL is almost always flex worthy.
Yep.
We saw Henry Ruggs. I wasn't sure about this guy when the Raiders drafted him.
Another Alabama wide receiver, right?
Right. He only had 46 yards, but I kind of like the way that the passing attack worked. I will say this, that they need to do a little bit better of is actually start throwing the ball to Bryan Edwards, I don't know, say in the first quarter.
That's just kooky.
I know. I mean, he dominated the fourth quarter, had 81 yards on 4 catches.
Fantastic. But maybe that's why, though.
Yeah,
maybe
who knows?
The defense was giving them that look, and
Could
so
be.
much of the NFL is like that.
Yeah, it's matchups
Yeah.
and it's schemes, and they're trying to keep them back, so they're going to play maybe 3 deep, whatever. So I'm going to say yes to Bryan Edwards as maybe a flex, depending on what your team looks like.
For sure.
In a PPR, dude, Hunter Renfrow
Was fantastic.
is a good way
He
to
was
go.
fantastic.
Only 6 catches, but he had 70 yards. So as a flex play,
How many targets do you have?
he had 9 targets.
Right. Caught 6 of them.
So, for a third, when it was third down, they're like, watch for Hunter Renfrow. We were thinking he was going to be this last year, and if they start using him as that, quote unquote Wes Welker type,
Julian Edelman, and,
Right,
Danny Amendola, that guy who just catches passes,
yeah,
which is what all receivers should do. But some of them are good at burning, some of them are route runners. Some guys just know where the first down marker
find
is.
the seam.
Yep.
Now Edelman and Welker did much more than that.
Edelman's probably a Hall of Famer. He's probably the best playoff wide receiver
Yes, he does have that going on. Of course, Darren Waller is a play. You got to do that.
ever. You think?
Yeah, just saying.
They were like, it's 3rd and something. Oh, Waller.
Yeah, I can't remember what I saw on Twitter. It was,
Constantly.
I can't remember the joke, but it was basically like, if forcing the ball into your tight end got you into the Hall of Fame, Derek Carr would be a first ballot Hall of Famer.
I mean, that's but when you got a guy that talented, you do just try to get him the football.
Does Mahomes force the ball to Kelsey?
Or
Sure.
re-kill. I mean, they asked him last week. They were like, "What about the meme where F it, reek down there somewhere?" And he was like, you know what? Sometimes it'd be like that.
Sometimes it do.
Sometimes you're just like,
Sometimes.
I know he's down there. I'll just throw it up. I mean, that's what the touchdown they threw the re-kill last week. Was,
Sure. Well,
that's ridiculous.
Well, the dude's down there. He started on the right.
It's 1-on-1.
Dude's crossing over.
Yeah, it's 1-on-1.
It's not like, you
Y'all
can
yeet.
you can't overthrow the guy.
Yeah, just throw it up there and see what happens.
So I was a little concerned about Ben, coming into the season.
For sure.
Because he has 3 wide receivers that should be playable every week.
Dude,
right?
I got really scared early when Deontay Johnson went down and was like holding his knee and stuff. But turns out he was fine.
Yeah, it's like, dude, don't dramatize
Yeah,
a knee
come on.
injury. People's hearts are stopping
You scare
across
an
America.
MFer.
Ben only $188, had 18 completions on 32 attempts. That's like 55%.
Not
something
good.
Like that.
Not good.
Did have a touchdown, but not a great rating. We knew Ben was going to be questionable. I'm not talking about his health. We're talking about his playability, but not great.
Hey, they won the game.
They won the game. I don't care. I want my Chase Claypool. I want my Juju.
Me too.
I want my Deontay.
But what's the other option?
Probably not on their roster at the
Right,
moment.
that's what I'm
I mean,
saying.
Haskins, they played pretty well in the preseason, but
Yeah, I think you're gonna, barring injury, it's gonna be Ben the entire season.
Oh,
and
yeah.
then maybe rise off into the sunset to a gold jacket. Who knows?
yeah, he's going to get one of those.
He for sure will be a Hall of Famer, no doubt.
Indeed. So looking at Najee Harris, he was a 2nd-round pick in most drafts. Sometimes the first.
You know what though? Looking at his run count and his snap count, he's the only running back that I think played every snap.
He may have only got 16 carries, 2.8 average. No touchdown.
I think he played every
45
snap,
yards. Well, if you got points for snaps, you'd be all over it.
Yeah, but if you're on the field, you got a better chance of doing something than say not being on the field.
Sure. So we saw the Raiders defense not perform all that well against the Ravens.
It's true.
So be
And the
curious to
Ravens
see.
have literally 0 running backs.
Well, that Tyson kid actually looked pretty good, and Latavius Murray got 10 carries and actually looked okay.
Yeah, but that's literally 3 running backs down the depth chart.
Yes, it is. Actually, Latavius would be 5th running back down.
Sure, but I'm just saying there was 3 ahead of them that all went out.
Yeah.
So
I'll tell you what, if I'm a running back, free agent running back, and the Ravens call, I'm like,
yeah, I don't know.
something with the turf or the water.
What's going on with your
something.
trainers?
So Deontay Johnson, Chase Claypool, Juju Smith-Schuster, they're all at least flex worthy, maybe better. Don't like the Ben Roethlisberger angle of it, but there's nothing you can do about that. These guys are going to score.
Buffalo's got a
as they
really
go.
good defense too. I mean, so
Better
It's
against
one
the
game.
pass than the run,
it's
but
one
yes.
game. It's one game.
Ebron, yeah, okay. I guess if you're streaming, this isn't a bad game at home. Pat Freiermuth may be doing something down the road, but then again, maybe not.
Right. Let's talk about Bengals Bears and how
Sure.
these Bengals are going to go 2-0.
Let's do that.
Dude, Joey Burrow, okay, coming back from an ACL, right? But how many games did he play last year? 7, 8, 10,
Yeah,
whatever it was.
Yeah, single digits.
Okay, buck 28.8 quarterback rating, 20 of 27, 74%, 261, 2 touchdowns. Got sacked 5 times though, but didn't fumble. No picks, no turnovers. I will allow it.
Yeah, you can't argue with it.
I think he kind of just picked up where he left off. And here's what really impressed me is Joe Mixon was healthy. And he had 29 carries for 127 yards and a touchdown. And by the way, he caught 4 passes for another 23 yards.
He is the Joe Mixon we always thought he could be.
He is what he thought he was. And what we wanted him to be. Bro, I mean, he's your RB3 that you drafted. Feel free to put him in at any spot while he's healthy. RB1, 2, 3, I don't care.
Flex.
Especially against the Bears. Yeah.
Hell, put him in as receiver. Who cares?
T. Higgins picked up with Joey Burrow like he did. Caught a touchdown, 4 catches, 58 yards. I'll allow it for a flex spot. Jamar Chase could catch footballs all of a sudden.
He dropped 4 out of 5 targets in the preseason. All of a sudden,
101 yards in his debut and a touchdown. He also ran once, by the way, so they're going to do that. He lost yardage, but they're going to do that. 5 catches, 101 on a sneak.
you trying to tell me he lost yardage behind that stellar offensive
He
line?
did, unbelievably. Tyler Boyd, who we thought was going to be Mr. Reliable in a PPR, 4 targets, 3 catches, 30 yards. I would still play him in a flex right now, but I think you might see Higgins and Jamar Chase take over this offense. That's possible.
Indeed.
Use him as a tight end, but he only had 2 catches. We're not going to play him. From the Bears side, Dalton had 200 yards. He lost a fumble. He had no
Justin.
He had no touchdowns. He had a pick. I don't know what to tell you. Justin Fields did come in.
Ran the ball, didn't he?
He threw 2 passes and completed both of them
Ooh.
for 10 yards.
Nice.
He did run the ball once as well for 3 yards for a touchdown. I think we're going to see him fairly soon. Montgomery was really solid, 16 carries, 108 yards, a touchdown. He had the long 41-yarder. Obviously, he also caught a 10-yard pass. He's still good at an RB2. They also
Picked
have
up
Damian.
where he left off last year,
He
dude.
did. At the end of the season, he was the last few games of the year, he was fantastic. Damian Williams, who was an interesting experiment, after opting out last year in KC, came over. He only had 6 carries. We'll have to see if that ramps up. Allen Robinson does what he does in terms of catches and targets. The yards just weren't there because you have Andy Dalton. 11 targets. Love it.
Yeah.
6 catches in a PPR. I'll allow it.
You want to
35 yards.
You want more catches on 11 targets than 6.
You do, and I'm guessing maybe the quarterback play had something to do with it. I don't want to speculate. I want Darnell Mooney to be more involved too. 7 targets.
Sure.
Okay. 5 catches. 26 yards. No, thank you. Tight ends, nothing to speak of. I mean, Kmet had 7 targets out of a tight end. You want that. 5 catches for 42. Not terrible. I mean, Jimmy Graham's still there, too. I think he had 1 or 2 targets. He had a catch.
He's eating up snaps, if nothing else.
Just terrible. But, until Justin Fields takes over this offense, I really wouldn't get too excited of the wide receivers.
Yeah.
Montgomery? Yeah, sure. Who do I got next?
Coming up next, Lyle will talk about the Saints and the Panthers.
Oh, Jesus.
Right now, let's talk about the Vikings at Cardinals. Kirk Cousins. He actually, I was looking at a quarterback power rankings today. He's actually up a couple. Dude had 351 yards and 2 touchdowns. Okay.
It's bananas.
I'll allow it. We know Kirk can do that. I mean, we've seen it. Now, Chandler Jones for the Cardinals had 5 sacks last week. We'll see what Kirk does when he gets down to Arizona. he's gonna know where that dude is every play. That being said, I think Kirk Cousins is absolutely playable for the most part. He's got too many weapons around him to go, well, a matchup isn't good. It doesn't matter.
He does what he always does.
Yeah,
and that is he's okay throughout the game.
Yeah.
Then what happens at the end? They win?
Did they win? Did the Vikings win?
Did they?
Let's see. They did not.
I'm super shocked.
They lost to Cincinnati.
Yeah, remember they went to OT. I mean, yeah, Dalvin Cook fumbled, and he usually doesn't do that.
All
But
that.
they had plenty of opportunities in that game to actually win. And
Right.
I know that since he's up and coming and, they have some pieces in place and stuff, but they're not a good football team. Not
So
yet.
that means that the Vikings aren't either. But, at this point, looking at the way the Cardinals looked, I think the Vikings are going to have to be throwing the ball a little late. So there could be some garbage time points there.
We're going to talk about Kyler Murray, but I watched a bit of that game. He was running for his life and completing passes. Like, he was like, there's all these people around me. Yeah. 25 yards.
Yeah.
I
That's how you do it.
I don't know how you defend that.
I don't know, man. Well, anyway, we'll talk about them in a minute.
Yeah.
Dalvin Cook, absolutely, you're going to play him. If that guy's walking, you're playing him. Same thing with Justin Jefferson and Adam Thielen. We can talk about numbers for them, but it doesn't matter. You're going to play them. Thielen had 95 yards, a couple TDs.
Hey, I'll allow it.
Sure. Tight ends, you got better options. So really, it's the quarterback maybe. Yes to the running back. Yes to the receivers. Absolutely. So yeah, you were talking about Kyler Murray.
Dude, he was phenomenal.
He won me almost single-handedly our Dynasty League game.
Yeah, another person I would wink at you and go, MVP. I don't know.
He's in that conversation.
Well,
right
right
now.
after one game, sure, but I'm just saying the parts that I watched of the game, he was amazing.
And just doing what he does.
Yep.
Do his 21 out of 32, which is pretty good. It's 66%, right? Had 289 yards, 4 touchdowns through the air,
and
ran one in.
Yeah.
He had 5 carries for 20 yards. That's an average of 4 to you and me, Lyle.
It is.
Did have a pick, but what the hell.
Happens.
So yeah, absolutely, you got to play Kyler Murray, and you should
I'll take a 5 touchdown to 1 pick ratio
all the time. You drafted Kyler Murray probably in the top 6 rounds, so of course you're going to play him. A little disappointed in Chase Edmonds. He did okay, but just okay. The guy had 63 yards on the ground, 43 through the air. Didn't get into the end zone. That's kind of his game, though, right?
Yeah.
He's gonna run some. He's gonna catch a lot, and we'll go from there. So yeah, I think he's at least flex worthy in this game, especially against Minnesota's defense. Gotta love that. Connor had 53 yards on 16 carries, which was a little surprising, but I guess that's the way the split's gonna go.
I like the carry numbers.
I do. Not a whole lot of yards there, so keep an eye on him. I'm not going to start him yet. In a PPR, I will definitely start Chase Edmonds. Otherwise, situationally, put them in flexes. Connor, not yet. DeAndre Hopkins just continues to be a Hall of Fame candidate at this point. If he keeps it up for another 3 years,
I don't think you need. I think he could retire today. And
maybe. I mean, he would certainly be in a conversation.
2 different teams. He's been phenomenal every year. I really don't think it's that close, man. I think he gets in.
He's been on. I think the Cardinal. I think the team he's on now is the best team he's been on.
For sure. But, I
No
mean,
question.
Houston had a few years.
They did, and he had a really good quarterback in Houston for a few years. But the dude had 6 catches, 83 yards, 2 touchdowns.
Yeah. Yeah, he's amazing. And not only that, he makes amazing catches all the time. To the
As a matter of course, Lyle.
Yeah, you're to the point where you're like, is that what you do? Like you just have like George Brett amounts of pine tar on your gloves, and
That's an MLB reference back from the 80s.
it is.
When George comes scrambling out of the dugout,
Boy,
all
he was
pissed.
mad. He was
boy,
mad.
was he pissed.
But I'm just saying,
Youngsters, Google that. George Brett, angry.
yeah,
Pine tar.
George Brett pine tar.
Yeah, that'll do it.
But yeah, man, like but he does. He makes these crazy catches, man.
Yeah,
Every week of every year. Yeah, I think he's a Hall of Famer. I think
Probably.
if he won some playoff games, it would help. But,
Well,
I don't think
Hopefully he doesn't age out of that. I mean, I don't know how old he is right
he
now.
looks
but
pretty good.
He does. I mean,
I don't know how old he is either, but
Right.
it's not like he had 2 touchdowns.
so Murray had 4 touchdowns. 2 of them were D-Hop.
Yeah,
The other 2 were Christian Kirk.
Kirk.
He was a guy that I saw just like with Brandon Cooks, just
Yep.
tagging along. Nobody wants him.
Yep,
I don't know.
I'll take him.
I got him on a couple leagues, right?
I did too. But here's the funny thing: in a couple leagues, he was on the wire.
That's not.
I picked him up.
I actually picked him up today in a league. It was thankfully it was a fab, and I grossly overpaid for him, but
Probably.
I was going to get him.
Yeah.
I think I paid 25% of my, or close to 25% of my total fab for the
I
year.
think that's going to be a high-powered offense, man.
Well, here's the thing about fab, kids, is if you have $200 at the beginning of the year, people go, well, I got to save my fab. You don't, because the first couple weeks of the season are when people emerge and you find out whether or not you want them. In week 12, nobody's going to come out of the woodwork that's got to be picked up.
Barring a huge injury and some fluke event, yes.
Yeah. So don't be afraid to spend half of your fab in the first month of the season, or more.
The first month for sure, yes.
Yeah. But anyway, so
Where are we at?
yeah, dude, I love me some Christian Kirk. So who else we got here? Rondale Moore. Yeah, I'd like to see more out of him before we throw a recommend his way. He had 68 yards on 4 catches, so that's pretty good. But
not
one
bad.
game does not a trend make, ladies
Correct.
and gentlemen. A.J. Green had a couple catches. He's still alive, apparently. I'd love to be able to recommend a tight end because so many times they go on tight ends, but these Cardinals don't have anything for you. Sorry about that.
Right. Speaking of not having anything for you, the New Orleans Saints do have something for you by the name of Jameis Winston.
Yeah.
Only 14 attempts, Kevin. 14 completions on 20 attempts.
Yeah.
But he completed 70% of them. Just $148. Not a lot.
No.
Only 7.4 per attempt.
Not a lot.
5 touchdowns. 5 touchdowns. 0 interceptions.
What? Isn't this Jameis Winston we're talking
0
about?
sacks.
Actually, he did have a pick, but it was called back due to penalty.
It was called back.
Yeah,
Yeah. 0 picks, because that doesn't count.
that's true.
0 sacks. Also ran for 37 yards.
Which
Right.
is not something Jameis is known for.
No fumbles. No turnovers. 5 touchdowns, no turnovers for Jameis Winston. Bro, if this continues for another couple weeks, people are going to start talking about him for an MVP.
Oh, stop it.
They will. If he, okay, let's say he throws 4 next week, 3 the week after that, and 4 the week after that. He has 2 picks in that area. Okay?
Yeah.
They're going to, dude, are you kidding me? He's going to have like 15 touchdowns already.
Yeah.
Get out of here, man. Listen, you didn't draft him number 1 unless you have a
You
quarterback
didn't draft him
situation.
number 10. I guarantee he's on some waiver wires. Well, was
I drafted
earlier.
him in every league I could. So
And a couple
if
before
you,
I
if
could
you have a
get him.
quarterback situation, feel free to play him, but you're not going to play him right now. Kamara, obviously, you're going to play. Only had 4 targets in that game. That bothers me. 83 yards on the ground, 20 attempts. That's fine, but Kamara makes his money through the air.
a little different with Jameis in there, I think.
It's true. We're going to have to get used to that. He did have a touchdown, obviously. I mean, you're going to play him, of course. We saw 11 carries out of Tony Jones Jr. I think that is a little bit interesting. He had 50 yards. He also caught a pass. Not getting too excited yet, but there's clearly an RBBC there that's happening, and there always was.
Murray
Ingram
got
was
a lot
there,
of carries
Murray was
last year,
there,
sure.
right? So it's going to happen. But 11 carries, that's a double digit. It's not nothing.
Yeah.
We got to keep our eye on that. The wide receivers, again, everybody caught touchdowns, but there's no yards to speak of.
Well, if Jameis had, 150 yards?
Yeah, $148, I think.
Yeah.
So 2 touchdowns to Juwan Johnson, the tight end. Get excited. That's a lot of points for a tight end.
Well, the great thing about him is he's listed as a WR, TE, so you can get those wide receiver looks in the red zone.
But he caught 3 passes. Mm-hmm. 2 of them were touchdowns.
For like 6 total yards, right?
Deontay Harris caught 2 passes. One of them was a touchdown. So just temper expectations, but we got to figure this stuff out. But Michael Thomas eventually will come off of the COVID/PUP list. They moved him from PUP to COVID.
Yeah.
I don't know which list he's on now.
But it ain't the active list. That's for
not,
sure.
He's not in the game. Sammy Darnold on the other side of the ball for the Carolina Panthers. I loved what I saw out of him. No picks. He did lose a fumble, but no picks. Threw for 279 and a touchdown. I was kind of impressed with the way he played. He was angry, man. He also ran one in. I don't know that he's going to be a great or running back or quarterback. Sorry. I'm looking at Christian McCaffrey.
You can do it, bro.
Thank you. I don't know that Sam Darnold's going to be a great quarterback, but I do know that he will be better than he was in New Jersey.
That's
not.
That's a pretty low freaking bar to jump over.
But I think he'll be better than he was there. McCaffrey had him. He didn't get in the end zone, but he had 98 on the ground and 89 through the air. He caught 9 of 9 targets. He's the best running back in the NFL.
Bar none.
It's just not even close. So we're obviously going to play him. I want to see more.
Hang on. You're saying yes to Christian McCaffrey?
I will play Christian McCaffrey this week. DJ Moore, we saw a little bit out of him that I liked, man. He had 8 targets, caught 6 of them for 80 yards. We've been waiting for him to kind of break out.
Dude, he was a top 25 receiver last year.
He was, but I just want him to do something
wildly
amazing.
Inconsistent.
Yeah. Robbie Anderson caught 1 pass. It was a 57-yard touchdown.
That looked good, man. It really looked good.
It was like Darnold to Anderson again. It was 1 pass. So, he's obviously going to be hit or miss, and we're not going to play Dan Arnold.
We've been talking about Robbie for years.
We have been. It's all you, bro.
All right. So your next game, Lyle, is going to be Falcons at Bucks.
Falcons. Okay.
All right. So we have Titans at Seahawks, right? Excuse me. We saw the Titans just S the bed last week.
They did S it.
It wasn't good, dude. And Tannehill wasn't good. He was a guy that everybody was like, you can get him in the later single-digit rounds. He'll be pretty good. 5 sacks will rattle a guy's cage, that's for sure. But, dude, Arizona just had their way with him. He was only able to get 13 points up. Did have a touchdown pass, Tannehill did. 212 yards.
They look terrible.
Ran for 17 and another touchdown. So not a bad stat day for him. But I'm a little worried about the team in general because I was thinking that they have a really good chance of winning that division and making a deep playoff run. The team I saw against the Cardinals is not that team.
Yeah,
we're not going to see that. So one game doesn't a trend make. We're going to talk about the Packers in a minute. They took a beat down too. I think they're a better team than that, and I think the Titans are a better team than we saw.
Did you see the conspiracy theory that Aaron Rodgers came back just to ruin the Packers?
Just to troll. Yeah, of course. I mean,
so
of course.
Stupid. I love that they think a competitor like him would tank on purpose.
Well, that's the whole thing of like, we're going to tank so we can get a better draft pick. You can't get 53 guys to tank.
No.
Too competitive, or they wouldn't be there.
Correct.
All right, so the thing, Tannehill kind of getting managed by the Arizona defense was one thing. But watching Derrick Henry averaging 3.4 per carry on 17 carries
It's painful.
was tough to watch, dude. He only had 58 yards, caught 3 for 4, didn't even sniff the freaking end zone.
Wasn't even close.
Yeah, so, is Arizona's defense that damn good?
Maybe.
We'll have to see. 5 sacks. I mean, that was just one dude, right?
Yeah.
So keep an eye on Derrick Henry as you put him into your lineup, of course. I mean, you're not going to sit the dude. Was really interested to see what Julio Jones was going to be able to do on his new team. What he was able to do was not so great, right? 29 yards on 3 catches. Yeah, obviously that's not the situation you want for Julio. I'm not going to say sit the guy. You've obviously got to play him. This is a different week. We saw A.J. Brown score a touchdown, but only catch 4 passes for 49. You got to play that dude too. There's a lot of guys to play on this team, that's for sure. I liked Anthony Ferkser coming into the year. He only had 19 yards and not really much to go on there. So, yeah, really, it's Tannehill, Henry, Julio, AJ. It doesn't suck, right? From the other side, looking at the Seahawks, Russell Wilson, this is the time of year where Russ tends to cook. You remember last year when he was we're talking about him for the MVP, also talking about him as being a fantasy genius, the whole let Russ cook deal. Dude was 18 out of 25, which is 78%, doesn't suck. 254 yards. Dude had 4 touchdowns.
Yeah.
That doesn't suck either. Didn't run the ball really. He had a few scrambles for 9. But if you were questioning whether or not Russell Wilson was a guy you want to start, don't. You absolutely do. Chris Carson, DJ Dallas. For a run-first team that they profess to be, yeah, okay. Love Chris Carson. Dude had 18 carries, 91 yards. No touchdowns, but what the hell? With that number of yards and that number of carries, I'll take it. Rashad Penny has a calf, probably out this coming week, maybe out extended time. It's the Rashad Penny experiment, just like it's the Raheem Mostert experiment. Can't count on a guy. DK Metcalf, love this dude. Obviously, you're going to play him. He was probably your first receiver that you took. Dude had a touchdown with 60 yards. Like to see him do more, but this is really not going to happen in this offense on a consistent basis. We saw Tyler Lockett, who was another one of those guys like Christian Kirk and others that just kind of like lasted a little bit in drafts, and it was kind of weird. Dude had 4 catches, 100 yards, 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. Not saying that's going to be every week. We've seen Tyler Lockett put that game up and then disappear for 2 or 3 weeks and then have another game like that. Just trying to figure out which games are going to be in that category. That's the difficult part. No. I think he's at least flex worthy on the regular for the most part.
On the regular.
On the regular. So Gerald Everett comes over from the Rams. He catches a touchdown pass. The yards aren't there, though, so touchdown-dependent tight ends, we've seen them. If you grabbed him as your tight end, continue to play him. I'm not going to be angry at it.
Probably not a terrible stream, but...
Yeah, if you're streaming, he's a guy you can play. But, again, you have to temper your expectations. You're looking at 7 to 9 points out of the guy at best.
You're right. Sorry.
That's all right.
I was a bit verklempt. Isn't that, like, choked up? Is that crying?
I don't know.
Anyway, Falcons, Bucks. Here's one of the things that's funny, Kevin, and I'm going to address you directly because you're getting up and walking away. Insert 0-2 chances of making the playoffs here for the Atlanta Falcons because they're playing the Bucks and they're probably going to lose that game. Falcons looked real bad last week. Matty Ice was 21 of 35 for a $164. He got sacked 3 times. Fumbled once. He didn't throw any picks, but the Eagles just took everything away from him. Mike Davis everybody started out well on this team. He was 15 of 49, only 3.3. He also caught 3 passes for 23 yards. Not huge numbers there. Not a huge fan. Patterson actually ran the ball 7 times for 54. He was more effective. So he probably deserves to be on a roster in case, but I wouldn't play him. Honestly, the only person you can play the reliably on this team is Calvin Ridley. He was targeted 8 times, caught 5 of them for 51. Looked really good early. Again, Eagles took him away. Gage caught no passes on 2 targets. Kyle Pitts had 8 targets, but only caught 4 of them for 31. If you drafted him as your tight end, you probably want to play him, but again, temper those expectations against this Tampa Bay Buccaneers team. From the Bucs side, oh boy, is there a lot to like here. Brady was 32 of 50. He did throw 2 picks, but he had 4 touchdowns, 379. I mean, he's the GOAT. You know, if you drafted him, even as your number 2 tight end, or number 2 quarterback, you should probably consider playing him this week against Atlanta because, boy, is that defense not all that good. I don't want to say bad necessarily, but not all that good.
That's an understatement.
The battle between Fournette and Ronald Jones apparently is real, but Jones fumbled and then he was out, but apparently he's the starting running back. He only had 4 carries last week, where Fournette had 9. Still not a lot. This is a passing offense. I wouldn't get too excited about either. Probably either is okay for a flex, especially against Atlanta, but again, temper those expectations. The people you want to start are Mike Evans, right, who didn't have a huge week 1.
He's not going to be shut out 2 weeks in a row.
He will eventually. Godwin had 14 targets, caught 9 of them for 105 and a touchdown. We'll allow that. Antonio Brown had 7, caught 5 of them for $121 and a touchdown. He also ran the ball once. We'll allow that.
Sure.
Gronkowski, who was not drafted in a lot of leagues, by the way. He was on the waiver wire in a couple of my leagues.
Yeah.
8 targets, 8 catches, 90 yards, 2 touchdowns. Is he getting a jacket? Yeah.
You know, the funny thing is, people are like, oh, look at the old man. It's like, dude, he's the same age as Kelsey. Relax.
Right, yeah. 35? Something like that? Yeah. It's not like he's old. But I'm just telling you right now, like, that guy's going to get a jacket. Not only that, dude, he's going to be, every week, he's dangerous. And they're going to use him. Like,
why wouldn't you?
Yeah, I mean, and they still have Brate, and they still have O.J. Howard, and they got a lot of weapons on this team, man.
You don't really see them on the field, though, because there's too many other receiving weapons out there.
They got so many weapons, right? They got 2 really, really good running backs. They have 3 really good wide receivers. They have a bunch of tight ends. They have the greatest quarterback of all time. And by the way, they also have a really good defense.
Yeah.
They're definitely in the conversation for a repeat.
Well, they're the only team in conversation for a repeat.
Well, I'm just saying, you know, most teams you're like, yeah, that's true. But most teams you're like,
you have to have won it last year to be able to
That's
repeat,
true. So. Well, they might be in a conversation for a three-peat, Kevin.
Yeah. I don't know. Tom's 44. We'll see.
He looked pretty good the other day.
He looked really good the other day.
379, 4 touchdowns.
Did you see the memes? You got Brady sitting there like, yeah. And then next to him is Aaron Rodgers. Is like, Rodgers is 7 years younger than Brady.
Yeah, but
he looks 7 years older.
He's not as good.
Not as good this week.
He's not as good ever. What's my next team?
Your next game would be Cowboys at Chargers.
Oh, God.
You don't like talking about the Cowpokes?
I was talking about the Chargers.
I
love talking about the Cowboys.
So you got the Chiefs at the Ravens. This will be a pretty good game.
What do you think?
I don't know. So you got Patrick Mahomes. You know, the dude has not lost in the month of September, period, in the pros.
Yeah.
You know, like 35 touchdowns, something like that.
Doesn't make sense.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, you got to play him, obviously.
You should try that in February.
Yeah, if you do that, then you're probably doing well. Clyde Edwards-Helaire didn't really get a whole lot of love in the preseason. Dude had 43 yards on 14 carries, caught 3 for 29. Not spectacular, but, you know, I think that's just what the running back situation in Kansas City is. They throw the ball too much.
Yeah.
For a running back to be a top-tier guy. So he's an RB2, you know, stretch, maybe. A flex stretch, maybe. He's not going to get 25 carries in a game. They just don't do that. Even when they're up by 4 touchdowns, they're still throwing the ball because that's their offense. Mm-hmm. Andy Reid throwing the ball is like, you know, it's axiomatic, Lyle. So
that's a big word.
Yeah. It's like 5 syllables. Anyway, so play Clyde the Glide at your own peril. Reek Hill, absolutely going to play him. Hardman and Robinson.
Think Rico.
Hardman and Robinson, they just don't do enough consistently. And, of course, Kelsey. It's pretty easy. The Chiefs are pretty easy to do. Lamar Jackson,
yes.
obviously. Tyson Williams, probably not. I mean, the kid looked really good when I saw him, but they just stopped using him midway through the game and put Latavius Murray in, who also did okay. So I really kind of want to see several weeks of what this Ravens backfield can do before I point a finger at any of them. Marquise Brown, sure.
Hollywood.
Sammy Watkins leading the team in receiving. Sure. I say play Sammy while you can.
Yeah. He always gets hurt.
He always gets hurt.
But he's a talented wide receiver, man.
He is. He's seemingly healthy now. So if you got him for some reason, pop him in. Or, if you're like me, you don't trust him enough to draft him. But in DFS, could be money. He's going to be cheap.
1 1/2 enthusiastic thumbs up.
Yes.
Half a chub.
It'd be like, so Mark Andrews, obviously, is your tight end. You're going to play that dude. So it's funny enough, these really good teams are really easy to talk about.
They are. I'm about to talk about 2 of them right now.
Yeah, I mean, no stretches here. I mean, there's no way you can go out on a limb with the Chiefs or the Ravens. It's pretty obvious.
Yes, it is. Mm-hmm. Let's talk about them Cowboys, Kevin, and the fact that they're taking on the Chargers, which a couple years ago probably wouldn't have been that big of a deal. But right now, Chargers look pretty good, and Cowboys look pretty good as well. Prescott had an amazing game against the Bucs. 101 rating. He had 42 completions on 58 attempts in that game. This game did not go into OT. So think about that. 60 passes, man.
That's a lot of throwing.
403 yards, 3 touchdowns. Did have the 1 pick. Also ran for a few. I mean, you drafted Dak. You're going to play Dak, and you should play Dak. The thing that should concern you is if you drafted Zeke. 11 attempts, 33 yards. That's 3 per, Kevin. That's not good.
It isn't.
We need a little bit more out of him. Tony Pollard, everybody's like, he's the answer. He only had 3 carries. That's a hard pass. The receivers are what you want on this team. Again, if you drafted Zeke, I guess play him. But if he has another bad game, I don't know, man.
It's hard to love that. I mean, we went through this very same thing last year with Zeke. It's like, well, yes, the quarterback situation's a little wonky, but Zeke is still Zeke. You should be able to play him.
But he wasn't last year.
But he was healthy. It's like, you should be able to play the guy, but he just didn't have it.
Ever since he got paid, it's been different.
Yeah, I hate to say that, but it's true. It is absolutely true.
The receivers, not so much. CeeDee Lamb had 15 targets, caught 7 of them for 104 and a touchdown. Love it. Will allow it. Amari Cooper might be the best wide receiver fantasy-wise in the NFL in a PPR when Dak Prescott is healthy. 16 targets, 13 catches, $139, and 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, he was
open.
He was literally open all night.
Burrow. I'm all over that kind of production. Tight end, they got Jarwin, and the Gallup's there too. Occasionally in a flex or something. But
yeah, right.
They just have too many weapons.
So you're saying there's too many weapons?
There is. From the Chargers side, Justin Herbert was also pretty damn good. Did throw a pick, but he had 31 completions on 47 attempts, 337 yards.
Yikes.
I like it out of the second-year player, the former Rookie of the Year in the NFL.
Last year.
Yeah, well, I'm just playing around. Austin Eckler had a decent day. 15 carries, 57 yards, and a touchdown. That's not bad. Here's what concerns me, though. 0 targets. 0 catches.
The new sheriff in town there in San Diego of Chargers of Los Angeles.
Say what? This is why I drafted him.
Yeah.
Right? I didn't draft him for 15 carries. I drafted him
for 15 carries and 8 targets.
Yeah. That's why I drafted him. And that didn't happen. People thought Larry Roundtree was going to come in and mess with his stuff, 8 carries for 27 yards, 0 targets. I don't like it. Where did those targets go? 13 of them went to Keenan Allen, which I'll allow.
You kind of expect.
He caught 9 for 100. Yeah, that's pretty good. We're going to start him. Mike Williams also had 12 targets for 8 catches, 82 yards, and a touchdown.
I like to see Mike Williams actually being a productive wide receiver in fantasy and in the NFL.
Me too. I like it, and I'll allow that. And you can put him in your flex. Jared Cook had 8 targets.
That's where they went.
Caught 5 for 56. Again, tight end in the NFL, blah, blah, blah.
What that tells me is that it was a really good matchup against the defense they were playing.
Yes.
Because there were no
Probably.
checkdowns necessary. The wide receivers and tight end was open.
Uh-huh.
So, yeah, that's what that
Who
tells
do I got
me.
next?
I don't think you have anybody next.
Yay. Am I done? Are you done? Are we done?
Yeah, let me check to make sure.
We did Giants, Washington, Houston, Cleveland, Denver, Jacksonville, we talked about. Bengals. Sorry, our API went down and they changed services, so we're trying to figure out. Niners, Eagles, we did. Patriots, we did.
Yeah,
Falcons,
we're good.
Minnesota.
So we
okay.
have the Monday Nighter, which is the Detroit Lions
All right.
at the
That's the Green
Packers.
Bay Packers.
So we saw Jared Goff actually put up some decent numbers last week, but they were all garbage time. Now, those numbers count, but you can't count on garbage time numbers every week. So
Here's the thing, though. I'll allow it.
Sure. I mean, nobody started Jared Goff last week, probably, unless you're in a 2 or 3 quarterback league, and even then, probably didn't. And nobody's going to want to play him this week either. DeAndre Swift didn't do much. Jamal Williams didn't do much. Not worthy of playing. Tyrell Williams didn't do much. Mm-hmm. I mean, they kind of came back a little bit late, but you're talking about, Quentin Cephas actually had a touchdown there at the end. Really nobody on this Detroit Lions team that I can actually point to and go, absolutely play this guy, except for TJ Hawkinson. Excuse me. He's the one guy that I will actually say, yes, you need to play. And that's close because Jared Goff is his quarterback. More to love on the Packers side, of course. Aaron Rodgers is going to bounce back. I think last year he had a terrible game against the Bucs. So the next week he threw 4 touchdowns, or something like that. Mm-hmm. So obviously you're not going to sit Rodgers. If he has a second bad game, then you start looking at it. But he's still Aaron Rodgers. He's not going to do poorly over and over again. Aaron Jones, first-round draft pick. You got to continue to play him. And even though they didn't have a great game as a team, he still had he only had 9 rush yards, right? So pretty awful. Only a couple points.
That's pretty bad.
That is pretty bad. I just closed the window. Do you have it open there?
What window? Yes, I have it open.
Now, hang on, I can get back.
What do you need? I was
All right.
answering a question.
So Devontae Adams, of course, you're going to play absolutely
For sure.
and the other guys, Marcus Vetta, Scantling,
They're going to
Cobb,
bounce
Lazard.
back. They have to bounce back, right?
Yeah, these are players that down the road maybe you can put into a flex, but
They
right
had a
now
bad
it's
week one.
Adams.
Let's not
Right.
Let's not everybody have a heart attack just yet.
Yes. Don't get too excited about an Eagles win. Don't get too excited about a Packers loss.
But get very excited about the Dallas Cowboys losing.
I'm very excited about that. Also, Robert Tonyan is a guy you're going to want to play in your tight end spot just because
Stuff.
he's a good tight end.
We do have one question I want to answer
Yeah, do
coming
it.
in the Thursday thread.
That would be the Thursday thread on our Discord.
Yes, it's podcast questions, the Thursday thread. Taco Wolf says, will Daniel Jones be the second or third best quarterback on the field on Thursday? I'm going to go with 3.
Okay, so Heineke would be first.
What constitutes the field? Like, are we talking, is it all sideline? Because if that's the case, he might be 4th.
Who would be on front of him?
Heineke.
And, of course. And
And whoever the backup to him is. And Ryan Fitzpatrick will be there.
that's true.
He just won't be suited up. So, yeah, then Daniel Jones would be number 4.
Daniel Jones would be backup would be Mike Glennon.
Yep, I'd take Glennon. Here's the thing about Jones. I don't think he's that bad. I think he's in a terrible situation. I think he's a guy that if he would have went to New England or Green Bay or some place that has an organization, I think he might have developed into a great quarterback.
Funny thing about that is the Giants are one of the oldest teams in the league and have from ownership on down have generally had a good organization.
They had Eli Manning for years, and he developed into a good quarterback, but never great. And clearly, he had the physical skills.
Sure.
Clearly. He had the mental
Won 2 Super
knowledge.
Bowls.
Sure. He had the mental knowledge and the mental skills, for sure. Right? His brother's Peyton Manning. His father's Archie Manning.
Speaking of which, as we close out this episode,
Yeah.
a lot of people I didn't even know this was a thing. Somebody called me, Robbie called me and said, hey, check out the ESPN2. Because I was just watching.
I didn't watch it. You told me about it. Yeah, I didn't
Peyton
watch
Manning, Eli Manning, and a bunch of guests came in to do different things.
it. Was it good?
It was great.
I still haven't checked it out. Yeah.
It was one of the best things I've seen. I mean,
Really?
Now, yeah. I mean, it's,
Ever. Beats prawn.
Well, no, of course not. I mean,
No, I like breastless better.
I kept my pants on the entire time.
You sure?
Can't. Yeah, damn it.
Yeah, there was some uptucking going on.
Anyway, just the whole thing between Peyton and Eli. It was clearly. I mean, Eli was there, but it was clearly Peyton's show. They brought Ray Lewis in. They brought Russell Wilson in. And it was just, candid conversations. And they're talking about, Peyton pulls a whiteboard in and he's diagramming plays and stuff. There were some audio issues. The ratings were really, really low because I think people just didn't know.
I'm not aware of it. Yeah, but I'm all over it, man.
Yeah, so I don't know if they're going to do it every week.
I hope they do.
I think they said like 10 games or something like that. But, I'm going to keep an eye on it. So next Monday night, I'm going to switch over to
I
ESPN2.
geek out about that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I just want to know everything.
Yeah. There's a guy who's a physician, in fact, who breaks down Eagles games and Eagles players.
Sure.
Play by play, right? Even if the play didn't go to the wide receiver, he'll break down the route that they ran. It's fantastic, right? And I'll send the guy to you. It's called Breaking the Birds or something, but
Right.
it's fantastic, man. And he'll talk about a rep that Jordan Mailata did that was completely away from the play, right? And
Right.
it wasn't really relevant, but this is what he was supposed to do. This was the rep that he did, and this is what he did. And dude, it's fantastic, man. He's like, he's supposed to do this, this, and this, and he did this. And in fact, he said, I think Jordan Mailata had the best block in the NFL last year against the Packers, where he picks up his regular block. It was a pass play, and there was a linebacker that came free towards Jalen Hurts. It was in the Packers game.
Yeah.
And Jordan Mailata is away from the play. He's a left tackle, and it's all the way on the other side, going by the right tackle. Right. He sees the guy and he runs. He pushes his man, and stops and runs directly at Jalen Hurts, and it was an incomplete pass, but that guy did not get to Jalen Hurts. He ran directly at him and knocked him off his block.
Wow.
And it was a fantastic play. Right, and he broke all this stuff down that happened, and I was like, "Bro, I'm addicted to this channel now."
Yeah, I got to see it.
Yeah, I'll send it to you.
I watched a Jordan Mailata block from this last weekend, where he's got. I don't know how it's lined up, but he's doubling in on the guard.
Yeah.
And then the tackle starts coming around, so he. I don't think he was doubling in, but anyway, he takes the one defender and throws him at the guard.
Yeah.
He literally just shoved him at the
Dude,
guard.
he's a freak athlete.
And then
man.
went and took care of the edge rusher.
He's a freak athlete, dude.
Dude's like 6'8", 350,
Almost 400.
nimble as all hell.
Dude, and runs like a 5-second 40.
Yeah.
I'm so glad they got him, but do not give the Eagles that much credit. They drafted Andre Dillard in the first round, who's sitting behind Jordan Mailata, who was a very late 7th round selection.
I don't blame Dillard though. I mean, I blame Howie. Dillard is Dillard.
Howie, yeah.
I blame Howie. So, maybe Dillard turns into a good guard. You remember Robert Gallery was like the number one all-time
Nah, I think
whatever?
I think Dillard's done. But just, don't give the Eagles that much credit. They got lucky with Jordan Mailata, and dude, he's fantastic. And I think he's going to get better, which is scary.
And he just got mega paid.
Super paid. They call him Money Man now.
Oh blame them.
They do in the locker room.
You
They're
see the
like,
thing
oh,
that-
money man?
You see the other day video of Kelsey coming off the field after the game?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And somebody hands him a Bud Light and
Yeah,
they
yeah,
toast. And here
yeah.
comes Mulata.
He was like, is this for me?
yeah,
Yeah. And here comes Malata. And he was like, oh,
it's the best Bud Light I've ever had.
dude. And I love that about those guys.
Yeah.
I mean, how many NFL players would do that?
They're lunch pail dudes, regular guys.
They are.
Let's hit this.
Offensive line is like that, though.
What's that?
Offensive line is kind of like that, though.
Offensive linemen, generally the smartest players on the team. For some reason.
No, I would think the quarterbacks are.
Not necessarily.
Not necessarily. That's true. I mean, I think as complicated
I
as
bring you
offenses
Vince
are,
Young.
Yeah, I think that offenses are. They're so complicated now. You have to be, particularly the quarterbacks, have to be pretty sharp to understand the RPO and all the options and
Being
you don't-
able to read what the defense is
and
going to do.
You just don't last long unless you have those skills.
Do you know how long this show is?
Buzz says Among Us tonight, 2.5 hours.
This show's like an hour and 50 minutes right now.
Yeah,
I don't know, Buzz. Love to play I'm going to be there, I think.
I
But
can't though.
there's only 40 minutes between now and then, and I
gotta
haven't
bail.
eaten dinner, and
Yeah.
I'll try to be there. I'll figure it out. I'll eat late, whatever. All right, we're out. Hopefully, 2 hours of show is enough.
Yeah, we got to do better for next week, but I got to get the API going.
Yeah.
I don't know though.
Yeah, as we're dancing around, different sources of information, we're not as streamlined as we could be.
Yeah, the API that we had used to have NFL stats. They abandoned that. So
Well, I think
they don't-
Robbie was saying that like Google is charging for their functionality now, and that's the difference.
No, they said they went with a new service.
And they just don't have stats now.
The service explicitly said to them, you can't have stats. You can have everything else, but you can't have stats.
You know what we should do? Let's put it up on the fantasy football subreddit. Hey, where can I get an API that shows NFL stats?
Feel
Boom.
free to do that.
You'll have 10 answers.
Feel free.
Yeah, I'll do it.
That won't break the bank,
Yeah.
right? Because all I want is just a little bit of information.
Well, we were throwing 400 at the other guys.
We
I
were.
mean,
400 a year, yeah.
anything cheaper than that, I'll take.
Anything
Equal
slightly
to
more
that.
expensive than that, I'd probably take.
If it's good data, up to date.
I just need
data.
last week's stats. It's not that crazy, and every week's stats throughout the year.
Right. And
That's all.
cumulative stats at the bottom.
Now we could probably build a scraper or something, but
Yeah.
that's a huge pain. And every year they change their website, whatever. It's
Yeah. We just want to pay money and make it easy.
I just want to grab data and be able to talk about the week's games. That's all.
That's all we want. All we.
I love you guys. I mean it.
All right, guys. We'll be back on Saturday.
Saturday.
We'll be back
And
Saturday.
Saturday, by the way, is going to be a very special episode of the Fantasy Football Guys.
It will be for a couple reasons. First of all, Lyle's going to have to cut it short at like 12:30 because he's got a taco festival to go to.
If I get back in time, yes.
Yeah. All right, guys. Enjoy your Thursday night game, and we'll check you Saturday. See ya. All right, Twitchers.
Peace out. I
We
love
are-
you. I mean it.
Oh, I already stopped the recording. Oh, I didn't.
I love you. I mean it.
He does.
I super love you. I mean it.
All right. Bye, Twitch.